Bam! I don't think we have a problem with buying books about D.I.D. It seems just fine to me. What's up, everybody? This is Madeline, and today I think I'm going to show off our gigantic collection of books about D.I.D. that we have managed to assemble over a few years. I don't know if you can hear that leaf blower in the background, but this is what my life includes. So many leaf blowers. So first up on this stack we've got Sybil, which is, as most people call it, like a classic and whatever. We learned that this case was actually like disproven, and there's a whole nother book written about it called Sybil Exposed. So we bought both of these at the same time because it's like, I want to know the full story for this. And we're currently working on Sybil first, and then gonna follow up with Sybil Exposed. And we are about 100 pages into this one, so we are making progress on that, I think. We're not the fastest reader, but we do our best. Sybil is written by Flora Rita Schreiber, and Sybil Exposed is written by Debbie Nathan. I'm gonna say all the names in these and show you the covers so that y'all can take note or screenshot whatever looks coolest to you. And next up we've got First Person Plural. I've heard this one is kind of a classic. A lot of people in the D.I.D. community have read this one, and we haven't gotten around to it yet. A lot of these are just things that we kind of put on the dresser to come back to when we have time, and time is pretty rare. But this is written, it's My Life as a Multiple, so it's from someone's point of view who has D.I.D. It's about a guy named Cameron West, and he wrote that as well. And it talks about basically his experiences and his path of recovery, which is pretty awesome. And then we've got this one next, which we saw so many times before actually finding a copy that was affordable enough. It was $12.50, which is not bad at all, because the other copies were going for like $22, and we were like, that's a lot for a book, and didn't want to do that. So, Scared Selfless. It's got a really catchy cover, written by Michelle Stevens. And this one we just recently bought, so we haven't really even checked it out too much. We kind of made it our mission to get one of every book about D.I.D. from the section at Powell's about it, which is depressingly small, and I think that's partially because of us, because most of these are from Powell's. The next one is called The Myth of Sanity, and this one's really cool. We actually read a couple of chapters on this one, written mainly by Martha Stout, PhD, and its caption is Tales of Multiple Personality in Everyday Life. And a lot of these books are really old, so we always have to keep in mind that if it's written before 1994-ish, that they're still going to refer to D.I.D. as multiple personality disorder, and that can be a little bit tough to get used to, but we just kind of, swap out the vocab in our brain and just go with that, and it works pretty well. But this one is full of a bunch of short stories about a whole bunch of different cases, and the first chapter is pretty cool. And it goes into really intense details about trauma survivors and coping mechanisms, and Devin was sitting here reading this I came here to have a good time, and honestly I'm feeling so attacked right now, and that was kind of hilarious. And next up is this really cute one we found a long time ago. It's called United We Stand. A book for people with multiple personalities by Eliana Gill, PhD. And this one's really cool because it's basically a picture book with big text and illustrations, and it's really useful. If we ever came out to our dad about this, seriously, I think we'd get him to borrow this book and read it because it explains it really well and really concisely, easy to grasp. And yeah, it's a really good book to kind of start someone off with, along with this baby. Someone I know has multiple personalities. This one's by Sandra J. Hawking, and I think this is the one we started annotating. No, it's not. Okay, we actually started writing in one of these books because it was really outdated, and we were like, hey, we could probably make a book similar to this, but with, current information and everything. So we started doing that in one of the books. And we've started like working together with the acrylic chasers to actually work on like a D.I.D 101 handbook kind of a thing, and I'm pretty excited to see that all come together. But along with mildly outdated terminology, this book is actually pretty good. Like, this is one of the ones I would probably recommend because it's really easy to understand and it doesn't use a lot of that really scientifical, psychology, professional wordings of things, Those can just be so hard to, like, grasp. Now, this is another one of the weird ones that I found at Powell's. It's called The Osiris Complex by Colin A. Ross, MD. And the way this guy worded the back of the book is kind of weird. Like, the Osiris Complex is a collection of case histories illustrating the clinical roots of the paradigm transformation Dr. Ross anticipates. So I'm just like, what is he even doing here? It might be like case studies of his patients, but we have yet to find out. Definitely stay tuned for more reviews, more in detail on all of these. This is just a kind of glazing over what I have and what you're going to see in the future. So yeah, this one is definitely going to be interesting. We love case studies because they're like really easy kind of short stories, so it's nice to have something like that instead of like a really long story you have to seriously commit to. Short stories are good, kids. Short stories are good. And then we've got this one that I feel we could actually use for our career in the future. It's called Telling Without Talking by Barry M. Cohen and Carol Thayer Cox. And it is art as a window into the world of multiple personality. And the good thing about this book, the reason why I love it so much, there are so many pictures, some in color, some not. All these are done by people with D.I.D, and some of the art is just gorgeous too. A lot of very many faces and not too much writing, which is lovely. But yeah, we're hoping to be an art therapist with specializations in dissociative disorders, so that is right up our alley, and I'm so thrilled we were able to stumble across that. And next up we've got Switching Time, which is a pretty sweet looking one. A doctor's harrowing story of treating a woman with 17 personalities by Richard Baer. This guy. And we haven't read this one yet, but we heard that it does have some like graphic descriptions of trauma, similar to When Rabbit Howls, which we've already given an in-depth review on. So we'll find that out eventually, what exactly is within these pages. But in the meantime, it's got a pretty sweet cover. I always find myself like seeing that title within the tune of the Closing Time song, like, closing time, switching time. And then people tell me to shut up, and then that's how it goes. And then we've got More Than One here by Terry A. Clark, MD, and Inside Look at Multiple Personality Disorder. I think this might have been the one we started writing in. Yeah, yep. We started taking notes in the margins, and that is something we, like, never do. But this thing was so dated, it was just like, how can you not, like, rewrite some stuff with the current research and findings? Yeah, at one point we just got ticked off and started crossing out whole paragraphs. This was an adventure, but it did have a lot of really good information in it, so this one was a little bit of a mixed bag. If you are like caught up on current research and what D.I.D and OSDD actually entail, then you could tackle this one and kind of know what's right and know what's whack and just, keep the good information and not retain any of the lame stuff. And then we've got Through Divided Minds, which is one of these tiny books with a really dense print that we do not like to deal with, but we'll do it for other stories about D.I.D. Sometimes it is just so worth it, and you don't even notice how awful the text looks. This one is by Dr. Robert Meyer, and yeah, it cost me $2.95. A lot of these books are either really expensive or really cheap, and I'm a little confused by that. I don't understand what the logic is behind these books and their pricings, but You know, if you stick around Powell's for long enough, you'll find something good. And then we have Multiple Personality Disorder from the Inside Out. This one is edited by Barry M. Cohen, Esther Giller, and Lynn W. I didn't realize that some of these books had the same writers. Like, I need to look at these in more detail. But this does seem more like research novel-y. There are some poems here. This one's kind of a mixed bag as well. It's got writings from a lot of different people, a lot of stories, art, and this seems like it'd be really good to like carry around in your backpack and read if you have like a few minutes here and there between class where you need something to do. Got little stories, little poems. I forgot how awesome this one was. We bought this book before I even came into the system, and I just didn't know what that was about. Yeah. And this one isn't like inherently connected with D.I.D, but it does have a little bit on it. The Trauma Model, a solution to the problem of comorbidity in psychiatry by Colin A. Ross, MD. And we just thought this would be a good reference for like talking about PTSD and other things along with dissociative disorders. You know, they've got somatoform stuff, revisions, the DSM, natural history, epidemiology, a bunch of like fancy psychology words. But since one of our majors is psychology, we are learning to decipher this, and it's become pretty helpful. Okay, we're done with one stack. The last one in that stack is Beyond Integration, One Multiple's Journey by Doris Bryant and Judy Kessler. I really like the title of this one, you know, Beyond Integration, because a lot of people are just like, oh, you need to be cured from your disorders, so you should just integrate and just squish it all back into one existence. And we're over here like, dude, there are so many other ways and so many other definitions of recovery. Like, there's so many other options besides integration, and this here is called Beyond Integration, so I'm just like, it's good. It's a good title. But this one was $7.95, so it was another really well-priced one with a pretty sweet title, and this is one that I've seen quite a few times. Haven't read it yet. We have not read a lot of these books. They are kind of just like compulsively acquired by people like Liberty and Ulysses who read more, and then people like me just see the books on the shelf and look at them like trophies, like, yeah, getting all these books, these rare disorder books. And it's kind of good just to establish a pretty solid database so you have a lot of sources to draw on, instead of just, you know, Wikipediaing things for your life and just attempting Google Scholar. I need to learn how to use Google Scholar. And this one's really sweet. It's called Mending the Shattered Mirror by Anna Lee Shepard. And this is the one that we actually bought at the Healing Together conference, so it's like a treasure to us. And it's all just made up of like email conversations between a client and her psychiatrist, and it's really cool. And I read a few pages and just like immediately fell in love. Like, I wouldn't even put the book down when we were at the booth. I was like, no, it's mine now. And it was great. So of course we had to get a copy of this. And then we've got good old When Rabbit Howls. This is a pretty good one. It's the first one that we got and started reading, and it took us like 4 years to get through this sucker, but we did it. And that finally freed us up to start reading more of these things, because we prefer to go, you know, one book at a time, so stuff doesn't get all confused in what little memory we retain. So we stuck with this for a long time, and it only cost us $3.50. That is such a small price to pay for such a great, like, amount of knowledge and growth that we encountered, like, over the course of reading this book. We would recommend it if you guys can handle like descriptions of trauma, because I know that can be really tough to deal with. So caution with this one, but it's a really good book. And then we've got Both of Me, which is actually a work of fiction. This is by Jonathan Friesen. Friesen. And it's about, I think some British kids. Someone loses a backpack and gets it like swapped with someone who ends up having D.I.D, and I don't really know how to feel about this, because it might be one of those ones where it's like the protagonist tries to get her strange love interest with multiple personalities to only be his true self. And I'm like, no, please don't do that. But that's what the description on the back vaguely suggests, so I'm just like cautiously approaching this one, like reading a page here and there. We've gotten through like 6 pages, and we're working on it, but it looks really cool, and it's a really awesome cover. It's like outer space. How could you not love this? This is like so aesthetic. But yeah, this is like the only work of fiction that we have in this whole collection so far, and I think there's more similar to this out there, but we're just like keeping our eyes out to see what we can pick up. This we found completely by chance. We were browsing through a Barnes & Noble with the Acrylic Chasers, and you know, of course, we always look at the titles and be like, maybe this could be like a book that was placed in the wrong section and it might have something to do with psychology. And we just picked this one up because we were like, both of me, that sounds system-like. And it turns out that it was. And the Acrylic Chasers were like, how did you get that? Like, you've got like the magic touch. And I was like, I know, right? Got a sweet book now. Second to last, we've got Jennifer and Herselves. This one was also $2.95. And it is a unique session-by-session therapist's account of his treatment of multiple personality by Gerald Schoenwolf, PhD. He seems legit, but this is another one with the really dense text. I swear, a bunch of books from like the 80s, 90s, 70s are all like this format, and that kind of creeps me out. But that's mostly because we have trouble focusing on small text like this, because our eyes will just keep reading the same paragraph like over and over again, and we won't realize that we're doing that until we've done that like 3 times, and then we get confused. But I also really like the size of this book because it's really tiny and feels like you could just put it in your pocket or like lose it in your backpack, and it fits into your hands really well. So that's one of the bonuses of these tiny formatted books. And then lastly, we've got Cuckoo by Madison Clell, which is a great one. Again, this does not belong to us. We're going to return this to our friend over summer break, and I'll be very happy to get this back to them because I've accidentally held onto this thing since like fall, and it's time that this baby goes home. So that was our gigantic collection of D.I.D. books. This video is going to be like 20 minutes long because it's a lot of book. We are very good at collecting things, and you can see right there, so many books. I didn't even count those. I'm going to count them. 20 books. I have 20 books in this collection, and that's about what I guessed, so that is awesome. I was almost right on the money. My guess was 21. It's very close to that. Alright, now I've got an important announcement to make, and this is like super important to me, so please listen here. So we have this friend Tyler. They are the Voodoo System. You can check out their channel on YouTube. They are super awesome, super stylish, really friendly, and just really cool altogether as a person. Now, if you check out their recent life update, they've been going through some really harsh stuff, and their plan was to move up to Portland, which is really close to us, so we'd be able to help them once they get into town, like kind of make a better, safer place for them to be, you know, friends, places where they will not be harmed, and they're having some issues with money and stuff, so I had this idea. I think Devin had this idea a long time ago where we have these hats, the like really fancy like crocheted ones that the Acrylic Chasers make. Those are on our Etsy, and those are like $5 to $6 more expensive than the regular hats, but those are because we were thinking of them like, you know, those Tom's shoes where you buy the shoes and then some of the money or a pair like that goes to help somebody in need. We're going to take all the profit from those hats and like put those straight towards people like the Voodoo System, just give that money right over to them so they can get out of abusive situations and to safer places where they can get help or friendship or be by people that make them feel more safe, you know? So, if you're interested in helping out, we'll be adding more products like that, like hat and scarf sets, possibly gloves, stuff like that. So keep your eye out on our shop. And if you want to help somebody out, please check out that link in the description. All the info you'll need is down there. And I might list the books as well, but that's a lot of typing, but I will do my best. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video. The great thing about having D.I.D. and also enjoying to read is wondering whose friggin' bookmark this is.